If you've got a quilt top folded up in a closet because you're too embarrassed to send it to a long armer, I need you to hear this from me today. Hey there, Star Stitcher. I'm Christen with ISeeStarsQuilting.com. I actually have a really big long arm machine in my house, and I quilt for a lot of you, including the beginner quilters who are sending their quilt for the very first time out into the world to be quilted. I've noticed the same 3 misconceptions that have come up again and again. I want to clear all 3 of those misconceptions up. So if you've got a top waiting in your closet right now, go ahead and send it with 0 hesitation to a long armer by the end of this video. Number 1, and this is the biggest one, okay? So many quilters think that your quilt top has to be perfect before it is allowed to be sent to a long armer. Like, you have to reach a certain level of quilting before it's worthy of being quilted by a long armer. And here is the absolute truth. I get quilt tops all the time where somebody tells me, please don't look too closely at where the points don't match up, and every single time I want to tell them the same thing. Those wonky points are proof that this is a human being who made this thing with their own 2 hands, with love and blood and sweat and tears. And that is the whole point of quilting, right? You think that you're alone when you send in a quilt top that has errors on it. You're not, okay? Nobody sends me a quilt top that has no errors in it. And also, I'm not here to judge you at all. Like, I am not like the final boss of the quilting machine game or something, right? Like, I love to see the quilt tops that come through so that I can quilt them and I can finish them and I can help you get to the point where you get to use this quilt. A long arm machine does not need a perfect top to do its job. Mismatched seams, slightly off points, a block that's a little bit wonky. None of that stops me from quilting it and making this quilt completely beautiful and done. And some of my favorite finished quilts started as the tops that the maker was really, really nervous to hand over. By the time they get that quilt back, you're not apologizing for it anymore. You're proud of it because it's gorgeous and you made it, right? You made it. I just put a little bit of sprinkles on it afterwards. So if you're sitting on a top right now thinking it's not good enough, please hear me. You are not the first quilt top that I've seen with wonky points, and you will not be the last. I want you to send it anyways. Number 2 is a lot of beginners assume that long arm quilting is this fancy, reserved for special occasions kind of service. Like, it's only for the show quality quilts or heirloom pieces, not a simple first project or a random holiday quilt that you made, or just something that you made because you thought the pattern was pretty, right? Here's how I think about it instead. It deserves to actually get finished and used and loved just as much as any super fancy quilt does, okay? Maybe even more because it's gonna lay over your couch all the time, right? And pricing isn't one fixed number anyways. This is something that kind of like comes up a lot, and it depends on several factors, like what the size of your quilt is, right? Obviously, a smaller quilt is not going to cost as much as a big, giant king size quilt, okay? It's going to depend on what the long armer includes in their pricing, right? It's going to matter on what's typical in your area where you are, because there are some areas that you're going to have some competition going on, right? There are going to be some areas where it's more expensive and some areas where it's a little bit cheaper. I would say it's a really good idea to kind of look around and see, you know, what the pricing tiers are. I have a pricing calculator that is built right into my website that you can go and you can check out anytime you want, okay? You just type in the size of your quilt, the length and the width, and you get an instant quote. There's no email. You don't have to sign up for anything. It's just a informational tool that I created, okay? It's actually the easiest way to know what something would cost you before you even reach out to a Longarmer, okay? And it has my pricing on there, but it can give you an idea on how much you want to spend in the end, right? Honestly, it's even a great tool to use before you finish piecing your quilt. If cost is a factor in how big you're going to make your quilt, plug in a size or two, play with the dimensions in the calculator, and see what feels comfortable. I just find it really helpful to be upfront with pricing, because I think a finished quilt that you actually get to use on your couch is worth so much more than a beautiful top that stays folded in the bin forever because it felt too intimidating for you to finish on your own. So don't let the assumption about the price be the reason that your quilt never becomes a finished quilt, okay? There are some other things that factor into the pricing as well, and this is something that you kind of have to do a little bit of research on when you're looking for a long arm quilter, is what do they include in their pricing, okay? There are some long armers that you have to pay extra for your thread. There are some long armers who add in services like you have to provide your own batting. There are some long arm services that will include sewing on your binding, or just attaching it to the front, trimming your quilt, all of that. Like, those are all different services, and all long armors, just like any other business owner, chooses to do things a little bit differently. I like to provide my own batting because I can get it at a really, really good cost, and I can pass those savings on to you. Other quilters would like you to send in batting with your quilt so that you can have the exact type of batting that you want in your quilt. You just have to kind of check that out. Ask the long armor questions. I don't mind questions. I like it when people ask me questions so that they feel comfortable sending their quilt to me, okay? So a long armor should not mind you asking questions about that. Myth number 3, and this one trips up most people for the first time, every single time. People think they need to know all of the lingo. They need to know all the technical terms before they can even reach out to a long armor, because you don't want to seem like you don't know what you're doing. You don't want to get taken advantage of or anything like that, right? Totally understandable. You don't have to know all the lingo, right? Here is genuinely everything you need to know. That long armor needs to know the size of your top, whether you have a preference for edge to edge quilting or custom quilting, or if you just want my honest recommendation on which design you should do, okay? A thread color preference, or again, you can tell the long armor, just pick something that works, okay? That's fine too. We don't mind, really, okay? And if you don't have batting on hand, your long armor may supply that as well, like I talked about before. I have a form on my website that is my long arm intake form, and that is the form that everybody fills out when they send me a quilt. It has all of the information on it. You can download one of those for free with no strings attached on it. That way you can just see what it is that your long armor would like to know. I also have on the website a curated list of the most common quilting designs, just so it's not an overwhelming process to scroll through hundreds and thousands of options, because there are literally hundreds of thousands of options out there for what you want on your quilt. You don't have to pick something only out of those. You can pick something completely out there, but if you want to just have a curated list of the most popular designs, I have those on my website. There's ones out there for everybody. If you like dinosaurs, there's a dinosaur quilting pattern out there. I have a dinosaur quilting pattern. If you like flowers, there's that too. I mean, just the sky is the limit. But to make it easy, your long armor has done this many, many times before and can make suggestions. I normally will talk to my clients and text them 3 or 4 options out of all of the designs that I own that I think will work well with their quilt, unless and that's if they're coming to me with no idea what they want to put on the quilt, right? We can talk about which design will work well with your quilt. And this is just kind of a bonus thing, by the way, is I think that your long armor should be easy to get in touch with, right? So you should be able to feel comfortable that you're asking questions to them to make sure that your quilt gets finished the way that you want it to, right? Instead of feeling like you have to figure it out all on your own and then just let them fulfill your desires, right? You don't need to know the lingo. You just need to tell your long armor what you love about your quilt, and they should help you with the rest of the program. Okay, they should help you with the whole rest of the process. So if you've been sitting on a quilt top waiting until you are good enough, your skills are good enough, waiting until you can afford it, or waiting until you feel like you know what to say, consider this your sign. Reach out to a long armor. I will help you turn that beautiful top that you made into an actual finished, huggable, gorgeous quilt. You can also check out my Instagram. I will leave a link to that down in the description box as well. That has photos of tons of different quilts that I have worked on. You can see the process. You can see the machine moving in the videos on my Instagram. It's really a really cool process, and I love, love, love it. So feel free to check out my Instagram as well. Your first quilt doesn't have to be perfect to deserve a proper finish. It just has to be yours. So if this video helped you today, helped you feel a little bit more comfortable, please hit that subscribe button and the like button. My name is Christen with ISeeStarsQuilting.com. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week. I'll see you soon. Bye.